What is food? Food is what people and animals eat in order to survive. It usually comes from animals and plants, which contains nutritive components such as carbohydrates, fats, proteins, essential minerals, and vitamins that is in our body. Furthermore, there are four basic food groups, which is the milk group, meat group, fruits and vegetables group, and the bread and cereal group. Food is a necessity to everyone's lives. In fact, it is a basic human right. It also gives energy and nutrients which helps our growth and development. Because of the food that we eat, we are able to perform our daily activities.
After knowing what food is and its role to society, let's dive into the science of food.
Nutrition is the science or the study in how our body uses food. So before nutrients can go to work, food must be broken down so that it can pass through the body. This is a process called digestion. It starts when we chew our food and then we swallow it. It travels to the stomach. It is mixed with water and enzymes, so it's broken down into components that can be absorbed by the body and it breaks down the nutrients that is needed by the body for normal functioning. So what are the nutrients that can be found in food? So we have 6 types of nutrients. We have proteins, carbohydrates, fats and oils, vitamins, minerals, and lastly water. So proteins, like I said earlier, it's the building blocks of our body. So our skin, our muscle, our hair, our nails are made up of proteins. Next is carbohydrates. It is the main source of energy, and it comes in the forms of sugar and starches. The most common and staple one that we have is rice. So we need rice and other forms of carbohydrates para to give us energy or fuel to get going with our daily routines. So fats and oils, they store vitamins and minerals, and they produce fatty acids. Yung fatty acids, they're important in producing the membranes in our cells. So yun yung importance of fats and oils. So vitamins naman, of course, for improving our immunity, for us to stay healthy. So for example, vitamin C, it's needed to fight off infections. Vitamin D helps the growth of bones and teeth. Next is minerals. It's also needed for growth. They are inorganic. Example, calcium, iron, magnesium. So may function sila in the body. For example, is your calcium and magnesium. It's important for your bones and teeth. Iron, it's very important. It's an important component of our blood, the hemoglobin, which carries oxygen in the red blood cells. Lastly, and one of the most important is water, because our body is made up of 70% water. So it carries nutrients into the cell.
Sure enough, food plays a big role in our daily life. But how do people pick their food based on their preference?
Personally kasi mas prefer ko kung mas mura yung pagkain, and then mas okay din kung mas malapit yung pagbibilan namin, and ano na rin siguro may factor na rin yung mga sinasuggest ng mga friends ko, ganun, kung saan ba masarap.
Ako price kasi kailangan kong magtipid ngayon. Kasi mag-summer na.
Ako, taste kasi kung sulit naman siya for its price, why not?
Ako rin taste. Whenever I food eh, kung gusto ka, wala yun. Ako price din ako kasi kailangan ko din magtipid. Mahal ako.
According to ufig.org, cost of food is a primary determinant of food choice. The food that we consume are based on the ability to afford the food that we ought to consume, since food is not the only basic necessity we need to fulfill. Low-income groups have a greater tendency to consume unbalanced diet and in particular, have low intakes of food and vegetable. However, access to more money does not automatically equate to a better quality diet, but the range of food from which one can choose should increase.
Yung mga raw foods namin is organic. So, ang positive dito sa ginagawa ng restaurant is mas na po-promote and mas natutulungan yung mga local farmers natin. Kasi nga, kung bibili ka galing sa ibang bansa or imported products na, for example, yung garlic na mas malalaki, ganito, ganyan. Meron din kasing downside yon. Although mas mura siya, pero yun nga, 'di ba? Na siya meron ng artificial chemicals na nilagay dun sa product na yun para maging ganun yung itsura niya, maging ganun kalaki. So, mas patronize namin yung mga local farmers dahil din gusto namin tulungan kung ano yung meron tayo, 'di ba? Para saan pa yung natin, yung mga malalaki nating farms kung hindi din siya gagamitin ng mga restaurant. So, yun. Another reason din bakit high quality kasi nga from our own land.
Are we safe?
Definition ng cross-contamination is transfer of bacteria from one substance to another. So, meron tayong tinatawag na hazards. So, meron tayong 4 na hazards. First is physical, chemical, biological, and yung allergens. So, yung physical hazards natin, ito yung mga physical things na nakikita natin sa food. Like, for example, hair strand, di ba? Na-experience nyo na yung makakita kayo ng hair strand, mga dirt, rocks, ganyan, na or pests na nakikita natin sa food. So, yun yung physical hazard. And then, we have chemical hazards. So, ito yung mga nahalo sa food na, for example, improper yung pagkakalagay ng chemicals natin. So, pwede yun mahalo sa food na magiging chemical hazard na yun. And then, we have biological hazard. So, ito yung mga yeast or fungus, molds, ganyan. So, kapag napanis na yung food, di ba may lumalabas na mold. So, considered na yon na biological hazard. Kasi, syempre, hindi naman lahat ng pagkain, pwede mo siyang kainin na kapag napanis na unlike, for example, yung cheese, talagang kinokontrol siya na magkaroon ng molds, pero safe pa din siya. So, hindi lahat ng food natin, ganon. So, kaya siya nagiging biological hazard na. And then, last is yung allergens. So, meron tayong food allergens. Most common is yung sa seafoods, peanuts. Ito yung mga yung mga allergic sa seafood, peanuts, milk, dairy, ganyan, eggs. So, nagiging hazard siya kasi, syempre, hindi mo siya pwedeng kainin kasi nga, kapag meron kang too much allergen sa body mo, magre-react ka dun sa food kapag nakain mo siya.
With the advancement of today's technology and science, people are now able to seek for a possible solution regarding food supply with GMOs. But what is a GMO?
Right, so GMOs, let's define it first. They are genetically modified organisms. It can be defined as organisms. It can be in the form of plants, animals, or microorganisms where a genetic material has been altered or changed in a way na it's not naturally occurring in the organism by natural birth, mating, or recombination. So it can be an insertion from a different organism. You get an important component in their DNA and you insert it in another organism for it to be to improve or give it more benefit. So it allows selected individual genes to be transferred from one organism to another between non-related species. Food produced from genetic modification are called GM foods. So there are perceived, why are they existing? Because there are perceived advantage for GM foods. First is lower price because it increase crop productivity and it has greater benefit through by increasing its nutritional value. Sometimes kasi a certain component is not present, parang fortification, it's not really present in the product, but through genetic alteration you can add it to, it can be added component to an organism, a plant, or an animal source para it can be more beneficial for nutrition. Alright. I'll start with the benefits of GMO. So for ngayon today, yung mga pinoproduce na GM foods are mostly GM crops. So they are genetically modified to improve crop protection in two ways. First is to introduce resistance to against plant diseases. So the most common example is the BT, if you are familiar with that, Bacillus thuringiensis. It is a toxin added to plant source that can increase its susceptibility to infestation, animal infestation. So ang common na products available there that are genetically modified with BT are corn, we call that the BT corn, and cotton. So mas mataas yung production rate niya because it reduces insect damage. Another mode of action is through increased tolerance towards herbicides. So even if you increase the dosage of the herbicide, yung plant mo will be resistant to it. So that's the second mode of action. The first is you insert a gene para resistant siya to infestation, or second, you increase its tolerance towards herbicide. So even if you put a lot of herbicide, hindi madadamage yung crop mo, or it will not cause detrimental effect to human who will consume the crop. So in terms of its detrimental cost to one's health, well, there are three aspects na tinitingnan natin that can that might have possible effects on health. First is allergenicity, or provoking allergic reaction. So pwede kasing the source might have an allergenic component. The source of the DNA na i-insert mo might have an allergenic component to a food na originally wala siyang allergen. So it may provoke allergenic reaction, pero wala pa namang recorded cases on that. Second is gene transfer. So I think this is feared by many. Parang gene transfer from GM foods to the cell or body, or to the bacteria into the intestinal tract of human na nag-consume nito, that might have adverse health effects. This will be particularly relevant if antibiotic resistant genes yung ginamit na markers when you cut the DNA, specific DNA from the source. The marker that you use is antibiotic resistant, so baka mag-develop ka rin ng antibiotic resistance. That's one fear na maaring cause na detrimental effect of GMO. But so ang ini-encourage nila is to use markers that do not have antibiotic resistance. Wala pa naman reported cases, but that is a possibility. So next is outcrossing. So ito naman is kapag meron kang GM crops and non-GM crop na baka mag-cross pollinate. So magmi-mix, of course you have insects that can carry pollens or other materials from one crop to another. So there's a possibility of outcrossing. Well, conventional mixing naman ng GM crops to conventional crops, wala naman siyang direct effect on food safety and food security. So those are possibilities, pero there's no study yet or no evidence yet na these three are apparent and can bring detrimental effects. So ano lang siya, parang possibilities, but wala pang recorded na detrimental effects so far.
In our own little way, we can help contribute and ease the issue regarding food supply that is often limited, causing hunger to a number of people.
Number 1, be responsible. Only consume the food that you can finish and make sure that no food will be wasted.
Be your own producer. We can grow our own vegetables in our yards.
Be compassionate enough. Some people could not afford basic necessities such as food. What we could do to help them is to give the food that they need.
Number 4, support our local farmers. Farmers work very hard to provide us the food we're consuming. So what we can do to support them is to buy their products to support their business.
The fuel of our body can run out of supply or be vulnerable of being the cause of danger. The threats to food supply and food safety exist, but so do we. We must end our role of being the reason why this happened, and we should be the reason for the positive change. More than just being informed, we must act.